And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at TrollFest. This is a Trick or Treat Studios games. They have horror-themed games, although this is more fantasy-themed than horror-themed. This is from two designers, one of them, Bruno Feduti, who does a lot of games like Citadels and things like that. This game, you are assembling a fantasy rock band. You're going to go around and tour cities as much as you can, and then score points in many different ways. Here's how it plays. At the beginning of the game, you're going to go through some decks of cards here that show the different types of instruments, and each player is going to be randomly given one from each, so you have your basically starting band. You're going to also have some pieces of your color. And so each of these folks in the band, it shows what gender they are, it shows what instrument they play, and it shows what species they're from. So apparently my lead singer and my bass player are both vampires. I got an elf drummer and a goblin guitarist. So that's my starting band. Before the game starts, each player is going to be dealt 4 cards that are veteran players and 4 action cards. And you're going to take some time drafting these. You're going to pick one of these 8 cards to keep, passing 7 to the next player. From the 7 you receive, you'll pick one of those cards to keep, etc. Till you have these cards. Any of these extra band members can go in your band, but you can't have more than one of the same player. So for example, if I got her, I might replace my bassist with this elf bassist who might be a little bit better. They have some extra stats up here where I'm keeping track. She has 1 energy and 2 skills. And this person here has 1 charisma and 1 skill. And I'm also can add more people with different instruments. I might want an accordion player or a horn player in my band. These are action cards, and I might want to draft those so that I can play them on other players or on myself. Now that I have my starting band, we're going to place on the board our different starting locations. So this will be your hometown, and then you got your tour bus, and you're going to be traveling around here playing at the different spots. On a player's turn, you're going to move from one city to an adjacent city. So let's say I move like that. First of all, if you cross one of these tokens here, that's a dragon token, and there's still one of that color available to take, you'll take it and place it in front of you. When you stop in a city, you're now going to have a concert there. If you don't already have one of your ticket tokens in that city. So I don't have one here, so I now am playing a concert there. When you play a concert, you're going to score. If you're the first person to play in any city, that's worth 2 points. Secondly, you're going to look at the type of city. So here we have this gnome or dwarf city. So I'll take a look at my band and, hey, I got someone with that symbol, so I'm going to get another point for that city. If the city happens to have the groundhog meeple in it, which is determined at the beginning of the game by a random draw, and you play there, then you're going to get an extra 5 points. You'll take the groundhog in front of you, and then next turn you'll draw a new card, and that will show what city the groundhog moves to. If you end your turn in a market city, you'll draw 4 cards of the action cards, and you get to keep one of them, discarding the other 3. And if you go to a city with a vivid cultural life, you can either draw the top card and possibly add a new person to your band. I mean, who doesn't want an orc that can play the bagpipes? Or there will be several of these cards next to the board that you can pick from to add to your band. The game ends after everyone has placed their tickets on the board, and after you place these tickets on the board, then there's going to be scoring in a lot of different ways. First of all, remember, if you go to the city, you'll be scoring as the game goes by. For matching musicians, if you're the first person to do a concert there, and if there's a groundhog. At the end, if you end in your home city, you'll get 5 points. If you put all your tokens out on the board, you get 5 points. There are ways sometimes to put more tokens out, giving you a jump on everyone else. Then you're going to look at each of the 3 different types of performance: skills, energy, and charisma. Remembering that different folks are going to give you skills in each of them. So for example, Thaddeus Byron here gives 1 energy and 2 charisma. So whoever has the most skills gets 8 points, the most energy gets 8 points, the most charisma gets 8 points, second place getting 4 in each. Whoever has the most different colored stars does a light show. Whoever has the most diversity amongst all the different folks in their band is going to get 8 points. Authenticity. If you don't have any of those extra instruments, if you just have classic rock band instruments, you'll get 8 points. If they're all male or all female, you'll get 8 points. And then you get 12 points here if they're all the same species, which is a little tricky to pull off, but can be done. You'll add all these points together, plus possibly other endgame scoring, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Before we talk about components, I want to mention that there are a lot of different cards that can be played. To put barrier in a row, to have two people who are the same, play the same kind of instrument. Here I can put a tour token, even if the tour token number limit has been filled. So whenever you go to a spot, you're going to put a ticket in that city, but there is a tour ticket limit based on the number of players. It's one less than the number of players. So in a 4-player game, there can only be 3. This allows you to break that limit. And there's all kinds of tokens. Some of them count as extra stars at the end of the game as part of your light show. And there are many end game scoring things, like this lets me win ties during scoring. This lets me change the species or the gender of one of the people to make them count for whatever I need it to be counted as. The board itself has a kind of a homespun charm to it. The cards themselves are very good quality. There's all kinds of cards here, but very few times are you going to say, I don't know, this one says move from one port city to another. Well, look, that's really obvious. They have ships on them. Where the game really shines with components, I think, are all the different people in the band. It's just fun. There's all different artwork. I don't know, I think I get a kick out of this. They have silly names. Great art history here. I really like how these folks look. And I think this is going to be a big part of the charm of the game as you have all these different folks and you make your own band up. The game itself, the tokens are fine on the board. And once again, they do that weird thing where I still don't know why publishers do this, where here's a player color orange, and then there are orange stars. It's one of the colors there, while we have pink stars and there's no pink player color. That's a little bit of confusing. The rules themselves make sense. You guys got to watch where the different tunnels are, because tunnels matter for some of the cards, and all the scoring is based on the board. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the components. I might have made the box slightly smaller. I think it's a little too long on all the different sides, but that's a minor complaint. TrollFest has a little bit of a clunky feel to it. There's just a few things in it that feel like if I was publishing this game, I would have said I would sand a few things down. For example, at the very beginning of the game, they're like, everyone write a band name, then vote on it, and whoever has the best band name gets 5 points. Great, but that shouldn't be worth points, really. Folks who are playing this game, they're going to try to play it, hoping to win. That feels like it's part of a party game. It doesn't necessarily fit into this, really. Also, if there's various things on the board, and there's a few take that cards that attack other players. So like I said, it feels just a little bit clunky. But I still enjoy it. I enjoy it for 2 reasons. One, I really like the theme. I really like having this band and putting it together. Whenever I play this, I'm going to make a band with as many different instruments as I possibly can, because I just get a kick out of the fact that my rock band's going to have an accordion and a triangle. And we're going to rock it. But you can also make a very core band, try to go to cities that have that particular species in them, get a lot of points from that, and you're scoring a lot of points during the game rather than at the end of the game. I'm not sure that I think the numbers seem like they work, but at the end of the game, there is a lot of scoring. And that brings me to something really interesting about this game. And I know I said there's 2 reasons about the game. I'll come back to that one in a second. But this game has 3 distinct phases. There's a drafting phase at the beginning. There is one drafting phase in this game. That drafting phase is a pretty big deal. And so I might draft, play a round or 2. Everyone's like, oh, and be like, all right, let's start over. I think it'd be helpful because that drafting is a pretty critical moment. Then there's the moving around, pick up and deliver. Not really, but like go from point A to point B type movement. And then there's a big bunch of scoring at the end. So that's all thrown together, and it has a different kind of vibe. The scoring itself which is the second thing I like about the game. I like the idea of scoring. I like that there's so many different ways to score. That doesn't even feel like Bruno Faiduti at all. He's usually kind of silliness, and I think his zaniness comes from those cards. But this theme appeals to me, and getting points in various ways and saying this time I'm going to run a vampire-only band, or this time I'm going to run an all-girl goblin band. I don't know, that sort of thing I find to be entertaining and silly, and the game is not particularly long. It's about a 45-minute game that adds things I like. It adds drafting. It adds moving around and trying to beat people to the... Maybe I'm going to go for the Groundhog City first. I want to make it so that I definitely can come home on time. I want to make sure I get to that city before you. And there's a few minor things, like I said, that keep this game from being great. The take that cards, I think I might have cut them. Some of the component issues and things. Yet this game exudes that silly, fun charm, and I feel like it's something different than many other things that are out there. So, a lot of fun, especially if you like the theme. That's TrollFest. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved!